I'm called to order the Millburn Historic Preservation Commission meeting of January 4th, 2024. The Open Public Meeting Statement, in accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975. Be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board, town hall, and serving the officially designated newspapers a notice stating that this meeting would take place at the town hall at 7:30 p.m. on January 4th, 2024. Announcements, roll call.
Mrs. Canfield?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Frankel is absent. Mrs. Gaylord?
Here.
Mrs. Glatt is absent. Mrs. Wanga? Here. Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. Seelan?
Here.
Crystal, do you have the oaths?
They should be, are they with your stuff? Because I had her over here. Yes. Yep. There you go.
Thanks. Do you want to read along?
Or do you want us all to read along at the same time?
No, I'm going to do them individually.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Yes, they're both on.
Right.
Okay.
Brad is next.
Oh, okay. So after the word "I," you'll say your name,
Okay.
and then go along. And many people don't realize it, but some religions don't swear. So in those cases, you'll affirm, and that's why I say swear or affirm. That's the official oath. I
Allison Canfield,
swear or affirm
swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly
impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office of Commissioner
perform all the duties of the office of Commissioner
of the Millburn Historic Preservation Commission
of the Millburn Historic Preservation Commission
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you sign and send it back to them, okay? Mr. Seelan. Raise your right hand. I
Justin Seelan,
swear or affirm
swear or affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties,
of the office of Commissioner of the Millburn Historic Preservation Commission
the duties of the office of the Commissioner of the Millburn Historic Preservation Commission
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and that I will support
and that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you sign your oath and return to Crystal. Mr. Jenkins. I
Brad Jenkins,
swear or affirm
swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of the office
perform all the duties of the office
of the Commissioner of Millburn Historic Preservation Commission
of the Commissioner of the Millburn Historic Preservation Commission
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
Congratulations. Oh, you're not on the chair yet. Okay, well, maybe someone else will be. All right. So this section of the meeting is the election of commission officers for 2024. I'll take nominations for the commission chair.
Nominate Allison Canfield as chair.
Is there a second? Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations? Can I hear a motion to close the nominations?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So I guess you're going to be the chair, but I guess let's find out. All those in favor of Allison Canfield as the commission chair, vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
It's
All
official.
right.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Thank you.
Well fought.
So we'll switch seats. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you again, everyone. I look forward to supporting all of you again, and I appreciate your support over the years, so thank you. And welcome all the new members, welcome. We're very excited to have you. We just have some business first before we can kind of move forward. So the nominations and vote for the commission's vice chair will be next. I would like to make a motion for Zach Davis to continue as vice chair for the HPC. Second. Do you accept this nomination?
Yes.
All right, so Crystal, let's just do a roll.
Okay.
So it's official. Thank you.
Mrs. Canfield,
Yes,
Mr. Davis, would you like to vote for yourself?
Sure, yes, I do.
always.
Mr. Frankel is not here. Mrs. Gaylord,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Saling.
Yes.
I said that wrong, didn't I? Mr. Sealing. I'm gonna get it right. I still said it wrong. Mrs. Glatt is not here, and Mrs. Wanga.
Great. Next, the appointment of, very welcome. Congratulations. Appointment of the recording secretary, Crystal Woods. I again would like to make a motion for Crystal to continue as recording secretary for the HPC. Do I hear a second? Thank you. Do you accept the appointment?
I accept.
Great. So I guess you call your own roll?
Mrs. Canfield,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Gaylord,
Yes.
Mrs. Wanga,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Sealing. I got it right.
Wonderful. Up next is authorizing the award of the contract for Historic Preservation Commission Counsel Janine Bauer. It'll be resolution HPC 23-001. I'd like to make motion to award contract, for Historic Preservation Council Resolution HPC 23001. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please.
Mrs. Canfield,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Gaylord,
Yes.
Mrs. Wanga,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Sealing.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Congratulations. Or maybe not. I would also like to take this time to welcome our new liaison from the TC, Frank Sacramento. Mande? Say it again.
Sacramento.
Mandy, that's so much easier. As our new township, as I said, liaison, thank you and welcome to HPC.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Next in line will be the schedule of meeting dates, the resolution adopting the 2024 meeting schedule. I hope everyone had the chance to receive the copy, had a chance to review it. Crystal, I'm just confirming, we considered all holidays, school calendar, including parents' conferences, et
Yes.
cetera?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any questions, comments on these dates?
I didn't ever see a copy of the dates.
Crystal, do you have?
It's in the
It's
packet.
in the packet.
It's in the packet, it's in there.
The back of this packet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can give it, it's right
Yeah.
here.
What we could do, Karen, is.
Thank you.
It was in the stuff that was sent out too, in the emails.
There's something wrong with my computer and printer because you send it by Word and I can't,
You can't see it.
whatever. So, there's a way I can do it to get it done, but, not easy.
Well, we'll make
Anyways.
sure you get a copy.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So do I hear a motion to adopt the 2024 meeting schedule? Second? Anyone?
Second.
Thank you, Zach. Crystal?
Mrs. Canfield,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Gaylord,
Yes.
Mrs. Wonga,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Seelan.
Yes.
Meeting dates have been approved. Thank you. Announcements. Do any of the commissioners have any announcements they would like to make tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to continuing business, meeting minutes, the approval of meeting minutes. The minutes of December 7th, 2023 meeting have been distributed to the commissioners. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing no changes, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes have been approved. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to memorializations from December 7th, application number 557, 88 Stewart Road. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Memorialization of application number 557 has been approved. Thank you. Application number 565, 56 Chestnut Street. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, memorialization of application number 565 has been approved. We have one more, application number 561, 67 Montview Avenue. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Memorialization for application number 561 has been approved. We move on to old business. Having no old business moves us into new business, which we have no new business. So what I'd like to do at this point, one second. With council's permission, I'd like to open the floor to the public with any comments or questions that they might have. Does anyone in the audience here for the public open for a portion of this meeting? Would any of them like to come forward?
Absolutely.
Please.
Do you have a timer?
I don't.
I can set the timer.
We can work without the timer too, we don't have to do 10 minutes.
What we'd like to do, do you,
Yeah,
excuse me, do you need a timer or?
no.
I mean, because I'd rather not time you and.
Well, my name is David Elefant.
Okay,
I am,
wait a minute, hold on 1 second. Question, comments, again, like most meeting commissioners, will wait to answer any questions and comments that you have at the completion of all comments and questions, okay? And then we will kind of figure out who can best answer that question for you. So all I ask is, we're all neighbors here, and our commission is made up of volunteers. So let's please communicate respectfully to each other during this process, so positive and productive results can happen here, okay? So we're all trying to have a voice here, okay? So please be respectful of that. So if you'd like to come up again, now I'm sorry, please come up. But I would prefer not to time you if you,
Well, good evening. My name is David Elephant,
Address.
Short Hills, New Jersey. More than 34 years resident in town. And I'm here to say no to the new districting. And I'm going to stand here for my 3 minutes. And I'd like for you to look at me. I'm permitted 3 minutes. Yes?
you are, but
Yes.
again, I think it's a little.
Again, tonight,
I,
I have spoken words. And tonight I'm saying no. 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 No.
is there anything else you'd like to communicate with us?
No districting.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No districting.
Okay.
I encourage everyone to do the same. Please. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Maybe I'll turn this around. It's easier for everybody.
I apologize.
No worries. I'll keep my sign there, but hello, everybody. Happy New Year. My name is Anurag Kadyan. I'm a resident of Short Hills, specifically in the Marywood, Nottingham district. As we kick off this new year, I'm here to share verbally with you my opposition to the nomination of Marywood, Nottingham district for historic designation. In the October 5th meeting where we were invited with a letter, most of you were here and you saw the opposition to this nomination in the numbers of residents who were here. Unfortunately, we heard rumors were spread that we were paid hacks. We were a mob. Ms. Canfield, you just said we are neighbors. That's what's being said about us. It is also said that we were not residents. Most of the attendees or public who showed up were not residents. So I want to make sure I was here. David was here. A lot of our neighbors were here. I handed the signs to 10 people I knew who are around my house. So did 5 others. And that's how that number of people came from that neighborhood. We also sent certified letters detailing out our opposition with wet signatures from our neighborhood. You have the opposition numbers. So I'm here to request that the nomination process be actually stopped, not just tabled. You know we are all opposed, majority of the neighbors living in that area when most of the, I think it's 153 properties just within Marywood Nottingham district. Why would you go against the will of the property owners and put restrictions on their private property rights when they're all opposed to it? I don't think that's how our democracy works. And if this is what it takes for us to have our voices heard and that process be stopped, we will be here every Thursday. Every single first Thursday of the month. It doesn't matter. It could be just one person because of schedules, but we will make sure that we as neighbors, these are all our neighbors. I know each one of these people. They're not pay tax. We know the process was bungled. We know it was rushed. We were given 20 days notice, which is the minimum in the ordinance. Like, why? Why would you do that to neighbors? We could have been given 90 days notice or 3 months. People were on a vacation who didn't know about it. Not only that, we received correction on that letter. That's a living proof that there was a bungled process and it was a rushed process. I just don't know why. So in closing, I would say we're all opposed. By listening to us, we would like to see action in stopping that process for the Marywood Nottingham district. There are, I think, 3 other districts. I'll make additional comment. Marywood Nottingham is the only district with majority private residents. The other properties, Shorters Club, not a private resident. Milburn downtown, majority is business district. There are a handful of houses. And the third one is around the train station, which is again, majority commercial. We are the only district which is 153 homes and neighbors of yours who will get impacted financially. And burdens will be put on us bureaucratically to do anything to our houses. Mine is a non-contributing, but I'm still here. So thank you very much for listening. But hear our voices, please.
Can I get the correct spelling of your name? I apologize.
Anurag Khadian,
Okay, can you spell that for me?
Anurag. Last name,
Yes.
Kadyan. I never had to spell my name in township committee meetings when I spoke.
I'm just trying to get it, I'm just trying to get it correct. So I hope you're not offended by that.
I
I would
am.
rather be.
If the township committee in my last 4 comments I've made never asked for it, I'm not sure why that is being done here. Sorry.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Mendel Bogomilsky, Township resident for 32 years. Actually own 2 properties in the township that are pretty old. I will tell you it's very extremely disconcerting to be standing here before you today. And it seems that our concerns, as my neighbors expressed, have completely fallen on deaf ears. I would hope it's not the case. So I'm coming with an open mind tonight. I'm not coming with statements. I'm coming with questions. I would hope, you pass away and you come back down. Heaven gives you another chance. Would you do things differently? I probably would, myself. So having said that, I hope that you guys will do the same thing. The last time around, I will tell you, it was very, very distressing to have the process illegal. There's no other way to say it, because the letters that were sent at township expense, all registered letters to 350 or whatever the number was, contained the paragraph that you now had to reverse at another township expense, $8 or whatever prices went up in 2024 for a registered letter, again to the 150 or whatever number you sent, that you can't do any work during the pendency of the application, which made no sense to begin with. but turned out to have been incorrect and therefore illegal. Gave people a worry for no reason and was incorrect. And I'm surprised the council allowed it to slip through. I have a personal beef with your consultant. I am personally upset that you chose to reappoint the same consultant that led you into this boondoggle in the first place. My personal experience with this consultant, as you board know, he is less than honest. And I can write you a letter and detail the points where he's either obfuscated or not completely set forth previous, better qualified, in my opinion, architects who have opined on the township's housing stock in detailed fashion, which he chose not to do in the report that he now issued for you for the process that was tabled. He did not follow the statute, where the statute requires that each house should be listed with its characteristics that contribute to its historic components. That's an integral part and a logical part of any attempt to make even one house, let alone hundreds of houses, historically important. You want to know why. The FGI, or I think that's what the FGI, I think I got that right, FIG or FGI people who made the last report, and it's on your website, and anybody who wants can download it. What they did was they went through every home and they indicated how old the house was, what method of construction, what type of construction, what's important, which elements have been retained, which elements have been tampered with, which elements have been completely either covered up or no longer there, and which are therefore considered still important. Barton Ross did not do that. He absolutely did not do it. It was disappointment. He issued a kindergarten grade report, list of houses, time, completely ignored his predecessor, FGI, who was, in my opinion, as I said, much more qualified than him. He issued, besides that, which I'm not going to get into, a 52-page book about my house specifically, complete baloney, the entire report, nothing to do with architecture. Most of it was census reports from New York City about the person who lived there for about 10 years. Very disappointing. Not to mention it impacted me negatively. But the report as a report was poor quality, was not architectural. The Historic Preservation Commission is tasked with making sure that the architectural stock in town is kept, or houses of historic significance. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, I don't know, somebody, some big singer, somewhere lived in the house. Something happened that people know about this individual lived in the house. You'd want to keep the house. The house is a prime example of some interesting type of construction. That's what you guys are here for. You're not here to make residents just nervous. You go into newjersey.gov and it talks about the job of this HPC. It's not supposed to be a contentious process. newjersey.gov says the Historic Preservation Commission is here to help you make sure that you don't make construction decisions that turn out to be more costly, to guide you. That's what you guys are here for. That's what we're neighbors for. That's what I'm living in the town for 32 years, and that's what the commission has done. This process is a contentious process, the process you guys have, for some mysterious reason, undertaken, wholesale. Contentious process. The neighbors do not agree. It's an undemocratic process. Talk about history. The first thing that we as Americans have as our history is democracy, not just construction. If you got 153 homes and 150 or whatever of those 100 don't want their district to be historic, I would think that's more important than the architecture of the house. That's the bones of our community, is our democracy, not our lumber. So you ask yourself that question, yourselves, commissioners. Do you want to be on the losing end of that conversation? Some kind of nanny state. And I hate to throw around terms like that. It's very distressing, very distressing. People have to come give you angst, give us angst over a process that shouldn't be contentious in the first place. Furthermore, what we'd really like to see, which is logic and fair, is a change to the ordinance. The Township Committee can do that. Put in 2 words. Historic districts shall be done with the consent of the majority of the residents. We have no problem with people, if I don't, let's say I don't want my house to, come in front of you guys to change my windows, let's say. If the majority of my neighbors thought that that was important, I would go along with them, I actually would. That's democracy. That's why we elect historic township committee people to then make sure that the boards reflect the will of the people. I'm not talking about arcane concepts here. This is ABC of USA. That's all we're asking for. We give you guys a lot of respect. You're the ones who do the heavy lifting. You show up at the meetings, you make the decisions, you try to make the township as beautiful as possible. All we're asking for is a little respect in return. So I guess I'll end with the question that I started with, and that is, do you guys, and I say that respectfully, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners, commit to us that going forward, this term is going to be different than last term, having heard the concerns and having heard the opinions, and more people can get up and say the same thing I'm saying in different words. Will you do things differently? Will you commit to completely, not just tabling, as my neighbor said, but stopping the process unless and until you have such an extensive education process that a majority of the community that you're trying, whichever district it is, agrees with your opinion? Let's assume that every person on the commission wants to make a new historic district. Fine, go out with an educational campaign. I heard your comment, new commissioner, a few meetings back. You think it's wonderful? That's great. Convince us. We're not idiots. We're all living in town, as you said. Generally speaking, the level of education in the town is pretty high. Don't think we are incapable of understanding a good argument or a good point being made. You think it's so wonderful? Convince us. Right now, we're opposed to it because we believe it will affect us in a negative way. You think it's wonderful? Come back with a campaign, convince us, canvass the community, just like the politicians do and did when they want to get elected. They knock on doors. They say, here's what I hold, it's what I believe. Vote for me. Here's what I'd like to see happen. Nobody would not accept you. Come to my house, I'll accept you in. We'll talk, whatever it is. If you think it's very important, convince us. And right now, we're not convinced. So we want to know that you hear us. We want to know that it's not a top-down process. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi, HPC. I've said some of these things at the town council meeting before. I'm Deepsika Chatterjee, Short Hills homeowner. As is already evident from the points that my neighbors have made, the homeowners whose homes were under this potential historic district are not happy. There was no consultation with the impacted homeowners, and neither was this choice made through a ballot vote. The boundaries were created whimsically. Homes were cherry-picked. Our house was recently updated, and we got our CO in 2023. Our permits, by the way, were approved by the town, right? The building department. The reasoning that this would establish architectural heritage is not true. Houses of this area are a mishmash of styles. And many houses are getting remodeled as we speak right now with the most ultra-modern style. So saying that this is 50-year-old or 100-year-old heritage architecture is absolutely not true. To retain period style in some of these homes is also not possible and is going to yoke the homeowners with other additional costs, as has already been stated. It'll require research and resources for the homeowners. In order for the HPC to actually assess all the 153 homes and other districts, it'll require serious labor on the part of the HPC. And even the bigger question is whether the HPC even has the ability, time, and the resources to actually do this work. Right? Because you all meet once a month for a certain amount of time and only so many hours during the year, right? So all of you have to put in the time and resources for such an assessment and evaluation. And as has been mentioned in the past in the town commission meetings, that we want to maintain a historic and bucolic look is unrealistic. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for everyone for volunteering for the position. We do appreciate. We are the residents. I am Kamod Arora. I live on Sherwood Road. And thank you everyone for contributing your time and efforts to this committee. Your time and your efforts and your opinions are valuable. Use them carefully. Use them with the residents. We are part of the same committee. We are part of the same neighborhood. We want same things. The last time it was done very badly. The first time I heard about it was when an official letter came in which took away all my rights. Please, if you want to change this town for better, talk to the residents. We are not against keeping the town and keeping the heritage. We are against the way it was done. It was undemocratic and it was very bad. Words cannot explain. It was someone who takes away all your rights to property, which is fundamental. It's very important. So I implore you and I request you to use your time that you're contributing voluntarily to do it for the better of the neighborhood and with the consent of your residents of the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Please.
Hi, Priya Sharma, resident of Short Hills. I'm on Jefferson Road. I just want to simply say I'm completely opposed to the nomination of the Nottingham Marywood or classification of the Nottingham Marywood district as a historic district. As my community members, my neighbors have stated previously, the process has been absolutely undemocratic. Our voice was not heard. Our voices were ignored when we reached out. It should have been the HPC reaching out to us, informing us proactively, soliciting our feedback, our thoughts, our comments. The reverse happened. We all, as my neighbor said, got the letter. We reached out, tried to make contact, speak, send letters. And in turn, we got silence. We got silence from this entire committee, which was very, very disconcerting. That's not how a community operates. We want to be good neighbors. We are all neighbors, every single person in this room. But that neighborhood feel was absolutely lacking and absent from the HPC side. So I hope going into 2024, it's a new year, that will be addressed and rectified. And this is going to be a collaboration. There's going to be a dialogue. It's not going to be a unilateral monologue from the HPC to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Barton. I live at 31 Sherwood Road, and I fully support everything that was said tonight. This has been a very distressing process for all of us, starting in September with the receipt of the letter. I think that rather than rehash everything that's been said, I just want to layer on a couple questions that I have, specifically around transparency and accountability of this group. I've been following ever since getting the letter about, what's been communicated to us. I've also been attending the township committee meetings, and I recall that there was a discussion around the letter that was supposed to be sent to us in correction of the ordinance that was mentioned in the September letter, but the HPC failed to send it, so the township committee administrator was going to proceed with getting that letter sent out. We received it 4 days before the end of the year, so it was, timely. It was like rushed out. But I'm kind of wondering amongst this group, what's your process for establishing new business? Like you just said today, no new business. Well, this is a huge topic in front of us. So like to us, this is a big, hot topic. So I'm surprised that there was no new business to discuss amongst the group. There was no discussion of old business being the letter that was sent out. So where is the discussion happening amongst this group for those logistical and, operational aspects? I'm curious to understand how everyone in the group is informed of that. Is there an email that's sent around to the group within the month talking about these things? You know, is everyone in the group aware of that letter that we just received in the latter part of December as a correction to a letter in September? So that is my question. Like, what's your process? How is this information being shared amongst the group as well as with all of us? I know that going to the website, not all of the minutes are posted from previous meetings. We've had challenges with meetings being canceled very much last minute. So, you know, that I think is something that we're interested in understanding as well. It's a very operational administrative question to the group, but I think it's important for this group, some of you being new, and us to understand. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to?
Hi, my name is Swagato Acharji, and I'm a resident of Short Hills. I don't have too much to add. You have already heard a lot from my neighbors. All I would like to say is the process that you started last year, maybe around September or earlier, it is for you to please bring it to an end, right? The township committee cannot do anything. The HPC needs to, if I'm right about the rules, you need to pass a motion to make the earlier motion null and void, please. And then if you want to do something else, please involve the community again. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'd like to then close the public meeting, open public meeting at this time. A lot of questions. I first want to start out by saying we do hear you, okay, and we are listening. There are a few pieces here that the reason that we tabled this particular designations, we tabled these particular designations is because we did realize as a commission that we needed to do more education. So a lot of what we heard about personal rights, the cost, et cetera, we chose to take this year to meet those needs of answering the questions and how the process works. Maybe Janine, if you could please help me with a few, some of the more logistical questions on the actual process and really what authority we have as a commission. So again, we are going to do some education and we are going to answer everyone's questions, okay, about why, how we got where we did, and hopefully what direction we take from that point forward. But I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. And what we want to do is we want to clarify all of that. So first of all, our job as a commission is to bring forward what we feel is important in our community from a history standpoint. And I appreciate everyone's input, but that history also includes the land. Not only just, not just the architectural piece or not just one individual house. So in other words, probably all of our houses, and let me also state, as far as I know, there are 4 of us that live in a historic house. So we're not people up here that are just not understanding personal rights, costs, etc. Okay, so I don't know if that gives anybody a better feeling about, historic, but we're not just somebody that's never faced what living in a historic house is. So it's important for us to educate you the way we were educated. So that's hence the letter that I put out that we would be tabling this until we can educate everyone on the process. Okay, there's a lot of information out there, a lot of information. And I have to say that probably 3/4 of it is untrue, okay? And we know how that works. So we're going to, and every town is specific to their historic properties. So again, we're talking from a state level to then a more local level as to how we designate. So without saying too much more, the process in which there's every single district or house, okay, that we went forth to designate has been on the element of the master plan since 1991. Okay, so again, this isn't something we just picked out of the hat and said we're going to target these people, okay, or these houses. Not only that, the Short Hills District, which we know exists, and the Wyoming District, which we know it exists. In history, the Nottingham Marywood District would have been designated at the same time that those two districts were designated, but financially, the town did not support that. In other words, not that it wasn't historic, that to financially survey the properties, okay? So let's just start with that, and I agree with you, let's keep this line of communication open. But I think the only way we can be productive is to respect one another and work through it as it needs to be worked through, okay? And that is why we did table it. That is why we withdrew, and again, Janine can get into more specifics about the legal part of that. So if you don't mind, Janine?
Sure, be happy to. So the one thing I want to, a few people addressed the, can you hear me? A few people addressed the subject of consent. And consent is an interesting topic under the municipal land use law, which controls everything that all the land use boards do, the planning board, the zoning board, and this board. None of the boards are allowed to act outside of the constraints of the municipal land use law. The municipal land use law and the state constitution require property to be treated equally, if you will. I mean, those are not the exact words, but sort of in a lay way. And therefore, even though there is actually a protest provision in our ordinance, and some of you may have taken advantage of that. I know I was on the receiving end of people who retained counsel and sent in a letter, which was very simple, usually just a one-page letter saying, I protest, I object to my property being included. There's not really case law or good case law to advise commissions and council who advise commissions or even planning boards or zoning boards as to what that means. And from an historic perspective, the Secretary of Interior standards, which is the other sort of guideline that we go by, or the local version of it, you can't really have an historic district where people get to pick and choose among themselves whether they object, because what happens then is the historic district loses what's called integrity, because somebody might have a very historically significant house, but who has objected to that and then decides to tear it down or modernize it or something like that. And pretty soon you have like all these like pockmarks of non-compliance with the district. And the same thing is true of a zoning district. If you have a zoning district that's single-family residential and somebody decides that they don't like that and they protest, let's assume that that were true, they protest that, and then they have a multifamily house, or they have a house of worship where it doesn't meet the standards, or anything that's not complying with single family, which is the only thing that's zoned for, then you don't have a single family district anymore, and everything becomes chaotic. So that's why there has to be an historic district with integrity and sort of equality, not equality like everybody has is the same, or worth the same value or anything like, certainly every historic district has different kind of styles because that's how they develop, and that's one of the things that actually lends credence to the fact that it is an historic district based on the way it's developed and the years in which it was constructed and so on and so forth. But so we received those letters, and I'm not sure what, if the nomination, for instance, had gone forward and the township committee and planning board had adopted it, because we only make the recommendation. We don't have the power to adopt an historic district. We make a recommendation to township committee. Township committee does whatever it wants to do. And therein lies the important part of your democracy. I'd certainly take all your points about the democracy, but we're appointed people and we don't have the power to make an historic district. So if the nomination had been recommended, and let's say the township committee had decided to move forward with it and adopt it, and it became law, so to speak, I'm not sure what would happen with those protest letters. So I think the interesting thing for us to think about this year is how do we deal with the idea that owners want consent for a historic district, because an historic district is a zoning district, and you don't have consent for any other type of zoning, any type of zoning district. I feel very confident that if a case like that went to court and somebody wanted to, take it all the way through to Superior Court and the appellate division or whatever, that would be struck down. I mean, and that's the democratic process. The minority or the single doesn't get to control. So that's just kind of like the 15,000 foot layer, maybe. It's not 30, but it's 15. And those are the things that we have to struggle with, because obviously if it's unpopular, even if it's unpopular in a large minority of the residents of, somebody said 153, or maybe a couple of you said that, the elected and appointed officials, because the appointed officials are appointed by the elected officials, they have to pay attention to the people, and that you heard the oaths. Ultimately, we serve the people. So that has to be taken into account. And I think it was taken into account, not only by this commission and tabling it, but by the people in the elections and the township committee and the continuing appointments and so on and so forth. But the process isn't going to change in the sense that, the communications will change, the education will change, and all the things that the chair just said. But the process is the process. That's set forth in the municipal land use law. We do a study, just like the planning board might do a redevelopment area study or an area in need of redevelopment or rehabilitation study or blight study or anything like that. And then it goes to the township committee and they decide what they want to do with it. So in that sense, we have stopped the process. We haven't stopped it to your satisfaction, I understand that, but we stopped it by tabling it so it's not going anywhere. That has to be picked up off the table, like one of you said, there has to be another motion. So it has to be picked up off the table with another motion and then something done with it for anything to happen at this point. So
right now, we're going to focus our concentration on answering everyone's questions, also giving them real information, hard facts, about values of homes, how, there's a whole list. I also want you to know that none of us took this lightly. I vetted over 140 calls, so I'm surprised. I had an open line, my own personal phone, that anyone could have called. And there are a few of you that I've invited and had invited to call me personally, so we could at least talk and me try to help educate what was going on and what was happening and how, again, we're doing our job by pushing this forward to the TC. So we really don't have power but to explain why this neighborhood is considered historic, how long it had been considered historic. So we are a working board, and unfortunately, the boards before us really didn't necessarily take on some of these projects. I think if I could encourage all of you, and I think, please, I do not think that you're not intelligent and whatever that comment was. I do understand what you're saying. I encourage you, if you live in a particular historic district, is to go to the museum, the society, have them look up the Nottingham Marywood district. You can see that it is listed in historic documents to be designated all the way back to 1978. So again, we took that and moved it forward, okay? Because that's my job. I'm doing my job, what I was appointed to do. And that is to bring forward to the TC for them to make a decision whether or not it's historically significant, okay? So again, we're not doing anything, and we want to open that dialogue. We want to talk to each and every one of you if we have to. We're also in the process of trying to set up public meetings, and you are welcome to come to those and ask any questions. Our consultant, our attorney might possibly be able to attend some of those, and we'll let you know in advance. I mean, I did like the idea that if we could talk to you and I saw some of you shaking your heads and explain the process and what we're trying to do, and also explain that your personal rights, are not being violated. Again, you can speak to commissioners that own historic houses, and we would say that. Also, there's some things that I hope I can share, and now that we have a liaison from the TC, but for some time now, we've been working on some tax relief, okay, for people that want to do any renovations or anything to their homes. So we'll be working on that with some of the new members of the TC. We will continue to work on that. If you want to read more about how that benefits, is Westfield took that on, their local government took that process on too. And again, it's just saying, can you help us restore what we consider to be historic? And we thank you for doing so. So again, these are things that we want everybody to know about, okay? But I also don't want you to think that we're not listening. And again, we listened to you from the very beginning, and that's why we tabled it, to give us some time to regroup and say, what could we do better, right? And how can we support you, okay? But bottom line is, we're not the ones that are making the final decision, okay? That is the TC. They make the final decision. But to stop the process of us pushing these historic districts forward, that would be a shame, okay? Or at least to present them to the TC and let them then make that decision at that time, okay? I hope we were able to answer most of the questions. Did anyone hear one that Elizabeth?
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, I think there was, I think we've all said that we're volunteers here, and there was a comment made that we've canceled meetings, and Crystal does a great job of making sure we have a quorum. But a lot of us do have jobs that do take us to the city, and I've been responsible for it. I got home at 6:30 tonight, and had I missed that train, I would have called Crystal and said I wasn't coming. So we have had to cancel meetings because people are sick, because everybody, not everybody here, but quite a few of us do have other jobs that, sometimes we can't get home in time for this meeting. And that just happens, we have kids, we have families that also, and unfortunately, sometimes we don't get a quorum. So Crystal emails us repeatedly throughout the week to make sure we're going to be here. And sometimes we just can't be here. So I just wanted to say that is why some things get canceled at the last minute. And I have been responsible for ruining the quorum.
But I would also like to add to that, one of the comments was that we meet once a month. That's not true. It's not that we have a minor work review committee, so when that meets, and that is literally every week, we have applications come through. Minor work is defined. I don't want to go into all of that, but we have a response for you within a matter of days. So what we did, when I became chair, we streamlined the process because I did understand. I went through it too. I live in a historic house. I remember what it was like before I was here, sitting in this position. So for me, it was my mission to make it easier and make it more friendly and to answer all those questions. And again, like I said, I took personally 140 calls and not one of them was under 45 minutes. So I am here to answer any question that you have, but give us some time to regroup and put some public meetings together. And maybe we can have some dialogue on all of this. And I'm hoping you give us that opportunity, okay? Let's see, was there, Zach, would you? Again, I just encourage you in the meantime, before you come, is just, and I know you did some research on how it's more costly and its financial burden and all of that.
There was another resident from our district.
But did you not?
No,
I
it was
thought you
not.
came forward. Okay.
No.
I apologize.
Today, I think it was Deep Shikha, and I think in township committee was Ritesh, I believe.
Okay. I think we can show and prove to you, especially in Short Hills, Milburn, that is not true. A historic property sells in right around the equal time, usually for more money. So there's a lot of benefits to historic district and a historic house. There's no fee. So again, we want to kind of eliminate the myths and tell you the truths. And then at that point, if you still feel the same way and about this, we respect that. We hear you. Okay? Anyone like to add anything to this or?
Can I
I
make
mean,
just one minor one-liner comment on something?
Sure.
Thank you. I think Madam Council mentioned that 153 is minority. That's a minority in total Short Hills, but the district we are talking about, out of 153, 150 will be a beyond supermajority. So if we are talking about democratically Short Hills as a town saying Marywood should be, let's do a referendum. We'll do our education and anybody who's in favor can do that. I think that's when that comment would be valid, but that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that
And
opportunity.
it did make me think of one more thing. The element of the master plan, okay, is online. I think there's over 600? Is there over? Yeah, if you can give me the exact number so nobody thinks that I'm, there are historic properties all over this town that are still yet to be recognized. Recognized means we don't know that they're historic. We don't know that they've been built on and the historic architecture has been destroyed. Okay, we don't know. That takes money, right? So we take these as we get permission to move forward. We take these and are able to do a full report to identify them if they are contributing or non-contributing, okay? And I'm hoping we'll be able to explain all of this to you in these public forums, which again, we are right now in the process of trying to schedule. I needed, to get our new team in here and that I'm very happy about. We have Justin our youngest member who worked for the Historic Society over the summer. You know, we're anxious to kind of collaborate and try to figure out how we can make this a better process for everyone. So whatever happened was not intentional, okay? We know now. I will take full responsibility. And I promise you, moving forward, let's keep this line of communication open, okay? If no one has, if I missed a question, please.
In order to be more transparent, I think one thing that would be helpful is to have virtual meetings or the ability to have virtual streaming options, because otherwise only in-person live meetings are very prohibitive for a lot of people.
Right. It's not funny, but
We just talked about it.
we
We've been
just said that moving forward, we were going to do that. So
The same way that the TC does, we'll do the same thing where they have the Zoom and you can come on and watch it and then raise your hand. We're gonna implement that too. We just have to figure out how we're gonna do it. I think it'll work exactly the same, but that'll be an option going forward.
So again, we're listening, okay? You just need to tell us without, you know what I mean? Just tell us. And certainly, I don't want to yell out my personal number, but if you call Crystal, she will direct you to me directly. Or if you leave her your number, I am more than happy to spend however long it takes to explain the process. Legal, I might have to have some help here. Or if you feel more comfortable, this shy guy next to me, my vice chair, he can answer any questions that you have too. And I think any of my commissioners, if you feel more comfortable with one of them. Okay, so again, we are going to go full transparency here. Okay, so let's work together. And then at that point, please allow me to do my job. And then at that point, it goes on then for someone else to make the final decision. Okay? Anybody else? First of all, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate this. I'm sorry we didn't do it sooner. Timing was really bad. I think everyone can agree. Right now, we are doing our best to kind of pull back and say, listen. And I'm sorry that wasn't more out there to all of you. So again, I will take full responsibility to make it right. Okay? If there are no more questions, or if I've answered everyone, at least for right now, and more to come. You may get very sick of me by the time we get done here.
Or vice versa.
So right now, if we can move forward, if everyone is okay with that, the public, thank you very much. And again, Happy New Year, and we really do appreciate you being here, and let's start new here, okay? If I can move on to discussion items, next month, we will list on the agenda for discussion a proposed amendment to the Township Demolition Ordinance to ensure the properties that are historically significant are not torn down because they're not presently covered under the demolition ordinance. Or for unknown reasons, falling through the cracks unintentionally. So I think that's going to be important. So you'll see that on next month's agenda. Okay. Do we have any other discussion items or? Okay. Having none, this concludes the meeting. Happy 2024, everybody. I move to adjourn. Do I have a second? Great. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.